I hate to say it, but half of America is in trouble, serious trouble when it comes to preparing for retirement. They may be able to survive day to day, but they're not making enough progress towards building that base of financial security for the future. If you look at the data, half of all Americans have $0 saved for retirement, and another 30% have under $100,000. So my videos, I try to be as optimistic and as encouraging as possible, but this is a wake-up call. And while many of my viewers may not be in this situation, are likely not in this situation, we all know somebody who is. And so that's what I want to talk about today is what can these people do to start getting ahead? Because once you get behind, it's really hard to catch up. And so I'm going to talk about two main ways that people can start to catch up. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you kind of my biggest secret for the people that feel like they just can't do it, because we can. We can do what we can. And my big secret's coming at the end. Just leave it at that. Okay, the number one way is you are where you are. And to not beat up on yourself, because that can just spiral down. So you are where you are, and we're going to do the best that we can. And so there's two ways to start building up for the future. And the first one is it's a gradual process, but it works. And the goal for both of these is to get to the point, and it may sound impossible, but I want it to sound aspirational, not impossible. So the first method is the goal for both methods is to get up to 20% of saving of your take-home after-tax pay. This is before any 401k contributions. You take your salary, you subtract your taxes. That is the number that I'm saying, 20%. That's what we try to get to. And if you're not there now, two ways. The first way, which is the easiest way, but it's going to take time, and that is every time you get a raise at work, every time you get a bonus, every time you get a tax return, whatever it is, half of that goes to current you and half of that goes to future you. And your future you will thank you for doing that. And that's going to take time. Over time, if you do that, you will get to that 20% range, but it may take a decade. And most of us don't have a decade. So let's talk about the second method, and then I'll share number three, which is the most powerful. The second method is the quicker method, and it requires 30 to 100 days of pain, but I think most of us can do almost anything for 30 days. So let's start with 30 days, and then we can expand it to 100. And that is, I want you to think about which of your expenses are required expenses and which of them are discretionary. Your required expenses are paying your rent, paying your mortgage, paying your utility bill, putting gas in your car to go to work, things like that, things that you have to do. The next, paying your taxes. The next section is the discretionary things. And this is where there may be a lot of room. The cardboard boxes that show up on our front porch, the amount of times that we go out to eat. I'm a big fan of vacation, but taking expensive vacations versus getting in your car and driving somewhere and camping or staying in a budget hotel. Vacations are super important. They rejuvenate us, but they don't have to cost a lot of money. So for 30 days, look at your required expenses, look at your discretionary expenses, and I want you to try to cut to the bone at discretionary expenses. And, we all had a test drive of that during the early days of COVID, where even if we wanted to spend money, it was hard to. We figured out how to do that, which is the cardboard boxes that started showing up during COVID. But think about cutting that out. And before you say, hey, Azul, no, I want to go out to dinner. I want to do these things. I have an exercise for you. And that is, I want you to think of the last 30 days, the last 100 days of where you spent your money on discretionary things. And, for most of us, if we get 20% of the dollars down on a piece of paper, we'll be lucky. Because many of the things didn't make a difference in our lives. They didn't bring us any joy in our lives. So many of those things we could cut out, and 30 days later, we wouldn't even miss it. One of the expenses that falls in the required category that can get expensive quickly, now this is once we get older, is our Medicare costs, medical cost, our healthcare insurance cost. And unfortunately, Medicare changes every year, so it's really important that we keep up on it. And that's why I'm proud to partner with this video sponsor, Chapter. Chapter is a Medicare advisor that is free to you and I to use. And I agreed to partner with them for 3 reasons. The first is they're free for us to use. The second reason is their average client saves $1,100 a year. That's almost $100 a month. And the third reason is the most important one. And that is that if you're on the right plan for yourself going forward for next year, they're going to tell you that. And that's important. And it brings up a really important concept with Medicare. Things change. Which doctors are covered, what your plan is going to cost, which prescriptions are covered under which category, and how much you're going to have to copay or coinsurance with them, or whether you'll need previous authorization from the insurance company. And as I record, this is the annual enrollment period where we get to revisit our Medicare and see if it's the right choice for us. It runs October 15th to December 7th. Thank you again, Chapter. You can reach them at this link or this phone number up here. Thank you again, Chapter. Okay, so we talked about how to get to 20%. I said I was going to save my favorite method for last. And I also shared about you are where you are. And so I want to talk about an op-ed piece that was in the Wall Street Journal recently that talks about the surprisingly low amount of money that people do retire, right? Half of Americans have nothing saved for retirement, 80% under $100,000. So how are people retiring with that seemingly paltry amount of money? The reality is, as controversial as Social Security is, it is an important safety net for all of us. So we do what we can, we save as much as we can, we budget, and then Social Security is a bit of a safety net for us. The average person, according to this op-ed in the Wall Street Journal, the average family, the average married couple is bringing in about $46,000 a year in Social Security. And the author would argue that Social Security is much more generous than people think. So don't rely on Social Security. We don't even know if it's going to be around, but know that there is a safety net in the U.S. and do what you can to save as much as you can. And also have a plan, have a financial plan. It's not enough to just save 20%. We also have to invest in it, and we need to keep doing it, right? It's just like dieting. It's not enough to eat well one day. That has to be who we become. And that's why I think it's important to have a financial plan. So it's who you become. You know how much you can spend. You know that you're not sacrificing unnecessarily, and you also know that you're not putting your financial future at risk. I encourage you to use a financial advisor for your plan. If you want to do it yourself, use software designed for you. The software that I like is called Bolden. You can find it down here. It's powerful. It's easy to use. It's affordable. There is no reason to build your own plan in Excel or Google Sheets. And there's also no reason to not have a financial plan when you can do it yourself so inexpensively. I do encourage you to use a fiduciary financial advisor, but if you prefer to do it yourself, use Bolden here. And if you'd like this video, the next video of mine that talks about good decision making is the decision on when you retire. And that's why I made this video up here. Why waiting to 65 to retire might be a big mistake. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.